Howdy folks, monthly update for the month of December. November is done, the international test season is done. I got a package to open. We've got some stats and thanks to go through with you guys and a few bits of news stories, including the Six Nations getting a new logo. We'll go through those and you guys can let me know your thoughts on everything rugby that has been going on. I mentioned the package that has arrived. It is not a jersey, I believe, but my man John recently attended a match over in Ireland and picked up some gear, which he thankfully sent through here. It is one thing that's hard to find here in NZ. It's a match day program. Match day program from the Munster against All Blacks 15 match. I've literally just opened this now, so I'll have to have a read of this. But of every game that I've been to at Eden Park in recent years, I cannot remember the last time we did match day programs. So this is pretty cool. I actually probably have some matchday programs lying around. Well, we used to get these. Look at this. Blues versus Crusaders. That's some real 90s kind of graphics on there. Blues against Crusaders matchday program. Had all kinds of stuff. Look, there's old Percy. Percy Montgomery in the matchday program. Ronnie Clark having an injury. Goodness me. So yes, we haven't had matchday programs for a wee while. This one looks slightly more modern from John. The old Munster against All Blacks 15 program. So cheers, mate. I'll have a look through that. And also, sent me through a scarf. Look at this. This is one of those kind of commemorative ones. We don't really do the scarf thing here in NZ. I don't know, maybe it just doesn't get cold enough here in Auckland. But yes, we never see scarves on sale at games. Like the Blues do Blues scarves, but yeah, there's never kind of commemorative ones for any particular games. Like I went to the Super Rugby final this year and they didn't have commemorative scarves on sale from what I remember. But yeah, cheers John. Thank you so much for sending that through. I know the shipping costs to New Zealand are pretty astronomical. But yeah, man, thank you, buddy. That means heaps. Now, what else has been going on in the month? Obviously, it was a pretty big month for international rugby. The Box managed to finish the year top side in the world, followed by Ireland. Ireland had to beat the Wallabies in that final game to retain second spot in the world, which they did. You guys would have seen the Rugby World Rankings videos throughout the month of November. I'm not going to do a new one now because, as I said, they haven't changed with the Wallabies' loss because they were too far behind the Irish to see any points exchange between the sides. But big videos in the month of November. England versus South Africa was a popular one. World Rankings was popular. New Zealand versus France, popular. So, yeah, there was just so many internationals on. We head back into club rugby now. For New Zealand, it's cricket season. South Africa, you guys have got summer rugby with the URC. Premiership, top 14, and the Northern Hemisphere URC teams obviously crack on through the month. And then European rugby is about to get back underway too. So there's still heaps of rugby on. Just not really in my neck of the woods. Viewership-wise for you guys, South Africa, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland. That is the top 5. Interestingly, Australia is ahead of New Zealand. Sometimes it's a bit of a swap between the two. I guess the Wallabies being a bit resurgent with their victories over Wales and England. Saw a few more Aussies coming along. We even had 509 views from India. So welcome to all the Indian subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please do us a favor and do that. Apparently 50% of people haven't subscribed in the month of November, so it'd be nice to get those numbers up. YouTube loves getting those numbers up, and we even had city-wise, a town that I'd not heard of, 2,300 views from a town in South Africa called Benoni. Apparently it's near Joburg. I always learn my geography by having a look at the old YouTube stats in the back end. Also, YouTube tells me there are a bunch of other YouTube channels that you guys watch. There's plenty of good rugby content out there, thankfully. It's interesting to see as well. There's different countries represented by like non-official rugby channels. Like obviously you guys watch the Autumn Nation series channel, you guys watch the URC channel and all those kind of other highlights channels. But in terms of independent rugby creators, Egg Chasers and Rugby Analyst from England, you guys watch Wildcard from Australia, you guys watch Forever Sports from South Africa, and you watch the Kiwi Lads from my very own New Zealand. So it's good to see so many rugby commentators and pundits and whatnot who aren't necessarily the official mouthpieces of particular organizations, putting out some good content there as well. Also, I need to say a quick thanks to the patrons who support the channel financially every month. We had a few new people come along in the month of November, so thank you guys for signing up. Also, thanks to Angus and Jack for your guys' continued support. But yes, these folks help to keep 2 Cents Rugby what it is, basically. So yes, if you guys want to join in with this illustrious group of people, link down in the description to Patreon. Now, in the old rugby news stuff, the Six Nations is rebranded with a new logo. Maybe I should say the men's Six Nations, because they have added the M for the men's side of the competition for the Six Nations going forward. It kind of now matches the women's Six Nations one, which has a W in front of it. Now, anytime you change a logo, you're bound to get some criticism, which is normal because we tend to just respond interestingly when stuff changes, right? Like even if you get a new haircut, you will sometimes cop a bit of flack for the change in style. Now, the logo they've gone for, it's kind of orangey. I mean, it's not great. It's not the greatest logo you've ever seen. The old one was a lot more kind of slick, but maybe that's just because I'm used to that one. This one feels a bit kind of 90s. Like the old one, the new one wouldn't feel out of place in this magazine, right? All kind of gaudy and, bright compared to the kind of, new stuff's a little bit more subtle, is it? Or is it just because I'm an old man? I don't know. But they've changed the logo. They've put the M on. I don't particularly like it, but I guess I will get used to it. They have gone with the M for the men's competition, which is an interesting one because some competitions still differentiate between men's and women's with the kind of default, and then the women's version, like the NBA is the NBA and the WNBA is the women's NBA, the LPGA and the PGA. Like there are a bunch of competitions which do that. And Super Rugby here in New Zealand, we've got Super Rugby, which is the men's competition, Super Rugby Pacific, and then Super Rugby Aupiki, which is the women's competition. So it doesn't use the word women's. I'm not like a sociologist or a gender studies expert or anything, so I don't really know, but I don't feel like many people will start calling it the men's Six Nations. I feel like it's by default going to be known as the Six Nations and the women's Six Nations. I don't know if there's a problem with that. As I said, you'd probably have to have a degree in something to understand that on a kind of sociological scale, but I think by default it'll just be Six Nations and women's Six Nations. But I mean, it's an M. I'm sure in all the official comms they will still call it the men's Six Nations, but it'll mostly just be known as the Six Nations. I'm trying to think of competitions where it's the women's one by default. Over here in New Zealand, it's obviously netball. I think men's netball is still called men's netball, and netball is just the women's netball, because by default, if you're talking about netball, it's women's. But most sports, the default one, like the NBA, like the PGA and whatnot, the default one is men's. So I don't know. They've also gone with the hashtag rugby recharged. So there you go. Your Six Nations has been recharged. I prefer the old logo, but I am a man in my 40s, so that's probably not surprising that I like the old one and not the new one. You kids, get off my lawn. Joe Schmidt, also his contract with the Wallabies. He's going to make a decision about whether to renew his contract or extend his contract with the Wallabies in mid-December. Remember, his contract goes from basically the start of this season just gone through until the Lions tour, so he needs to decide whether he wants to stay. Remember, he's been balancing family stuff at the same time. That was part of the reason he left Ireland, I believe, was to be closer to family here in NZ. So he took some time off rugby, and then he kind of got sucked back in. I guess it's like The Godfather, right? Got sucked back into a role with the Blues. That role with the Blues became a role with the All Blacks. Both of those as kind of assistants, and then that led back into head coaching with the Wallabies. So he has basically been totally sucked back in. Does he extend through to the World Cup, or does he go back to kind of a less time-consuming job to spend more time with his family? That's a decision for him to make. I would like to see him extend with the Wallabies because I think he is starting to build the house back together, which Eddie Jones maybe left a bit disorderly. But he's obviously got to do what's right by his family. So we will see what happens in a few weeks if he extends past the Lions tour or not. And then Jake White. Jake White's been on the rampage. Firstly, he's been calling out Ken and Moodie for being a bit fat. saying he came back from Springboks camp a bit overweight and needs to lay off the buffet. I'm pretty sure he scored a nice try on the weekend, didn't he? Breakaway try, still showed a bit of gas, but Jake White apparently not happy with his weight. And then also he's been firing about the All Blacks debate, which is going on at the moment about whether we select overseas players. Razor obviously wants Mo'unga back eligible for the All Blacks. Jake White doesn't believe that's the answer for New Zealand. He believes that the kind of current system is not kind of the reason the All Blacks aren't the number one side in the world, and that they would lose something if they were to kind of change that policy. Basically, it's not a silver bullet which is going to solve all the problems. Yeah, I can see pros and cons to both sides of that debate. It's obviously worked really well for South Africa in terms of being able to have a very competitive Springbok side made up of both domestic and overseas players. But yeah, Stephen Donald, also former All Black, came out pretty recently, similar to Jake White, saying that, you know, if you want to be an All Black, it involves some kind of sacrifice. So these guys need to decide, is it the black jersey or is it the money that they are chasing? Or can they have both? I still lean towards keeping the All Blacks in Super Rugby personally, because I feel like Super Rugby needs all the talent in it can get to get bums on seats, but maybe that's just short-term thinking. I don't know. You guys let us know your thoughts. Cheers, as always, for coming along for the month. As I said, if you haven't subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks to John for sending the package. Thanks to the patrons for supporting the channel. Oh, and if you want rugby gear, there's still Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales going on at the All Blacks shop. So check them down in the description. They've got discounts going on. And then the British and Irish Lions store down in the description. They are both affiliates of this channel. So if you want to get some stuff for Christmas, maybe, rugby gear is always a welcome one from Santa, right? So check down in the description, use those links, tell them 2 Cents Rugby is the one who sent you there. So yes, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Together.